Is shaking February 2nd, 2026. Mercy, it's February already, y'all. If you're here watching me, I'm so glad you're here. Comment if you're watching live or do hashtag replay. I'll try and remember to ask for y'all to do that so it helps me know if you're able to watch live or get the replay. Each week on Mondays, I go live to where I can say what's happening during the week, different trainings, different things we're going to be teaching and talking about, and also just share some personal insights and things that I think might bring everybody value. I got my hair cut last week. I'm still adjusting to the new length. It had been really long. I really kind of like this, but I'm still adjusting to the new length. So that's why I was playing with it. All right. So last week, if you know me, IRL was pretty much a poop show of a week for lots of different reasons. And my word for the year is focus. And so I'm having a great time choosing what to focus on. I don't think it's an accident. So I want to talk about a little bit about last week and how I had to choose to focus on certain things and give just some very relatable, I think, insights. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're actually doing this week. And then I had a woman named Darcy comment on my LinkedIn post. And so I want to share my screen and we're going to talk through that. So, first of all, if you're watching this, and I already asked you to do live or replay, but it would really mean the world to me if you would take time either just to give me a thumbs up or write one thing you're thankful for, just to let me know that you at least were here for a little bit. So last week, let me just tell you, the life of a business owner is always interesting. Well, always is a word I try not to use. I don't know. I try, yeah. It's not a word I use all the time because I don't think it's really true all the time. But for this situation, business owners, it's just interesting. It's just, there's always ups and downs. It's not steady. If you wanted a steady situation, you'd probably have a job. And even that's not steady, right? And so last week we were dealing with kind of coming off the snow here in Texas. It was actually ice and rolling out a product launch for Retention Made Simple. I had 2 emails scheduled to go out telling my email list about the special, and my intent and my focus was that about 3% would actually take me up on the offer. Both of those emails went out last week with glitches. And it was set up properly on my side. I still don't know what happened. And so I'm going to extend the deadline on what that was. But so that was issue number 1. I wrote down a list so I can make sure I cover everything. My phone, if you know me IRL as well, you'll need to get my new phone number. I had to get a new phone number after having over 26 years of having the same phone number. And it was a little more traumatizing than I recognized it would be. And it was a whole thing. Like, I didn't have access to my phone for a week. My grandson, who was the next thing on the list, ended up having ear surgery. On Thursday, he was supposed to have surgery later in February, but they had a spot open, so it came up. So I'm driving down into Austin, trying to find the hospital with no map because my phone didn't work. It was just a brick when that's not on Wi-Fi. And so it was very stressful, right? And then my husband and I, because of all the stress, we ended up having a conversation. And if you're married, you know what I mean. And so those are 4 things that happened that were very stressful, that were not good. And I could choose to focus on all those things, or I could choose to focus on the good, because even in the mess of all that, not having a phone, also I was having a problem getting a particular medicine that I needed. It was a whole other thing. Grandson surgery, husband, and the email situation, right? There was just a lot happening. But I also have another list of things that were good. And I could have this list continue going down. Like, I could continue the list because there was more stuff than this. But I'm just going to go over, I'm going to tell you some of the things that were good. I've started actually connecting more on LinkedIn and making connections and having real conversations instead of whatever I was doing before, which wasn't being intentional on LinkedIn, and it's working. I finally got our texting number approved for your admin ninjas so we can actually text to our clients and have it go into one place into their account instead of having to use a third party. Jonah, my grandson, his surgery was less invasive than we thought it was going to have to be. And so that was super great. The talk I had with my husband was actually very good and led to productive things that we needed to have happen. So it was actually very, very good and very needed. Um, we have a business that my husband runs that he got his first new lead through they found us on a directory. They called the number, which is a voice AI giving them information, and the lead comes through, and it actually worked, and the workflow worked. Everything worked. It was so good. And that's probably going to be about a $900 a month client for him. Then on dealing with the no phone situation, on Friday, we had something we were trying to sell on Facebook Marketplace. I had forgotten it was even listed there, but I wasn't going to be able to go down and drop it off to the people. And it was in South Austin, and we live in Georgetown. Kind of a pain to go that far. But Monty was able to do it. He was out running some jobs, and so he went down there and did it. And I almost told him not to because it was so far. And he went, and it's a family lawyer. The woman that bought the thing needs a new process server. So it's going to be work for his business. Plus, they do client care for all their clients. And so it looks like we may both be getting business from this one connection. Let's see. And then I had a goal set for January for drinking enough water and drinking so many cups of this a day. And I met my goal. So if I had gotten bogged down in the mud and the frustration of the 2 emails not going out properly or any of the other stuff that happened, I would have missed out on the good. So I just want to remind you, if you're a small business owner and you're working on growing your business, things are not always going to go the way you want them to. But if you look hard enough, you can find the good. You just can. And so my life changed when I recognized that I could find the good and be grateful in any situation. And so that would be my encouragement for you today, to find the good, because when you do, your whole perspective will change. And so this week on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a podcast at 3 p.m. Central, and we'll be talking a little bit about the weekly retention tip of the week that we'll be talking about on Friday at the training as well. Excuse me. And what we're going to talk about this week, I've used the analogy around buckets before, but I like baths, right? If you're a bath person, let me know, but I love baths. And so we're going to talk about how you can be filling your bathtub, but if the drain is open, it's not ever going to get full. And so we're going to talk about the idea of retention, of making sure your bathtub drain is plugged and solid, so that as you're adding in new clients, that they stay instead of going away. And then that's at 3 p.m. Central on Wednesday, and then 12 noon Central on Friday. You can sign up to attend a free training. It's a demo plus training where we'll talk in depth about it. You'll be able to get your questions answered, and you'll be able to see Retention Made Simple in action, how it would actually help your business. So, all right, let me share my screen. Make sure you let me know if you want a link to attend that training on Friday. And I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to talk about the question that that Darcy asked. Hustle culture tells us that more is always better. It tells us to stay on the treadmill, to keep chasing, and to ignore the quiet power of staying. But I've learned that peace of mind does not come from more leads. It comes from deep partnerships. I choose intentional stability this week and every week, so I can be present where it matters. And mercy, this is just what I have to focus on, right? You cannot build a business that sets you free if you're addicted to the sugar high of the chase. And I got to tell you, so many business owners I know are addicted to the high of the chase. And so she's asking, I'd like to know more about the deeper partnership you speak of with ourselves, with our clients, with who. And Let me, so I should be done sharing now. All right, very good. I'm back. Let me grab a drink. So, if you watched the podcast from last week with Whitney, we talked a lot about knowing who you are as a base of everything you create. So, you do need to have a deeper relationship with yourself for any of this stuff to work, in my opinion. But what I was specifically talking about in that situation is imagine, so I have a client, Coach Dale, talk about him a lot. He's one of my best friends and a client, and he's been with me since the very beginning, since 2019. And because he stayed with me for so long, the relationship that we have now is very different than if he had just been a one and done, right? If he signed up for one project for us to do and then he didn't stay with us. So as you build out these clients that stay with you longer, you will have deeper relationships with them. It's just part of it. And so if you want to keep your clients longer and get more referrals, you need to start, in my opinion, treating them like a human because they are, and not just a transaction or a line item on an expense sheet for them or a line item coming in as income for you. When a client understands that you're doing a great job for them, they're getting the results that they need and they feel seen, heard, and they understand that you truly are part of their team, it's going to make it a lot more difficult for them to leave. And why would they want to? Why would they want to leave? If you're doing everything you said you would, you're doing a great job, and you make them feel like a human. So, Darcy, that was, I will make sure I tag you, like I said, to make sure you see this. And I'm thankful for everybody that's part of my channels here. I share this particular video goes on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook every week. And so if you're here, I'm truly thankful for you. I don't know if you noticed, but in the background over here, a little Christmas tree light keeps going on and off. And I'm not touching anything, so there must be a short in that. And I'm glad I can see it in my background because I might not have noticed. And I need to unplug that. I'll do that right now. Focus. Focus on what you want. If you're not seeing the thing that you want, focus on what you do want and watch how things can change because I'm determined to find the good. And when I look for the good, I will find more good. So I encourage you today to do that. See you later.